Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, pristine lake. The surface is so still it perfectly mirrors the world around you. Trees, clouds, mountains, all reflected with flawless precision. But as you reach out to touch the water, ripples spread across the surface, distorting the image, revealing that what you thought was reality was merely a reflection, a beautiful illusion. This lake is your consciousness, and those ripples are the first awakening to a profound truth. What you've been experiencing as objective reality is actually a construct, a perceptual matrix that has been programmed into your neural pathways since birth. Have you ever felt that something about this reality isn't quite right? That beneath the surface of everyday life, there exists a deeper truth, a hidden architecture that shapes your experience without your knowledge or consent. What if I told you that your intuition is correct? That you are indeed living within a construct, a perceptual matrix that limits your consciousness and constrains your creative power? Today, I'm going to reveal exactly how to break free from this matrix and create your own reality. Not as a metaphor or philosophical concept, but as a practical, applicable methodology. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization techniques. It's about understanding the actual mechanics of reality construction and reclaiming your sovereign power as a conscious creator. Before I share the specific protocol for matrix liberation, you need to understand three fundamental truths about the nature of your reality. First, what you experience as objective reality is actually a neurological construct. Neuroscience has confirmed that your brain receives over 400 billion bits of information every second, but your conscious mind processes only about 2,000 of those bits. This means that 99.9999% of available information is filtered out before it reaches your awareness. This filtering isn't random. It's shaped by neural pathways that were programmed through your past experiences, cultural conditioning, language structures, and belief systems. In other words, you don't see reality as it is. You see reality as you've been programmed to see it. Think about this. A dog walking on a leash seems completely normal to you, while a cat on a leash might strike you as strange. Yet there's nothing inherently more normal about one than the other. It's simply what you've been conditioned to accept as normal. This same principle applies to everything in your reality, from your beliefs about what's possible to your perceptions of how the world works. Second, this programming creates what quantum physicists call observer-dependent reality. The double-slit experiment, one of the most important experiments in quantum physics, demonstrated that subatomic particles exist as probability waves until they are observed, at which point they collapse into definite particles. What's remarkable is that the act of observation itself determines the outcome of the experiment. This means that consciousness doesn't just perceive reality, it participates in creating it. Your observation collapses probability waves into your experienced reality, but your programmed filters determine which probabilities you can observe. Third, and most importantly, these perceptual filters can be deliberately reprogrammed. This isn't speculation. It's based on the neuroscientific principle of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. By systematically disrupting your current perceptual filters and installing new ones, you can literally change the reality you experience. This is what I call matrix liberation, the process of freeing yourself from your current perceptual programming and consciously creating your own reality framework. Now, let me share the complete protocol for breaking free from the matrix and creating your own reality. This protocol consists of 4 distinct phases, each designed to address a specific aspect of perceptual reprogramming. The first phase involves recognizing the specific perceptual filters that currently shape your reality. Most people never question their fundamental assumptions about reality. They operate within their programmed parameters without ever examining the program itself. Matrix recognition begins with a specific practice I call assumption archaeology. For 7 consecutive days, set aside 20 minutes each day to identify and examine your core assumptions about reality. These assumptions fall into 5 categories. Category 1. Metaphysical assumptions. These are your beliefs about the fundamental nature of reality. For example, Reality is physical. Time moves in one direction. Consciousness is produced by the brain. Category 2. Identity assumptions. These are your beliefs about who and what you are. For example, I am my body. I am my thoughts. I am separate from others. Category 3. Causality assumptions. These are your beliefs about how things happen. For example, hard work leads to success. External events cause my emotions. The past determines the future. Category 4. Possibility assumptions. These are your beliefs about what is possible or impossible. For example, people can't change their basic nature. Some things are just impossible. Reality is fixed and immutable. Category 5. Value assumptions. These are your beliefs about what matters and what doesn't. For example, security is more important than freedom. Material success indicates worth. Suffering is necessary for growth. For each category, write down at least 3 core assumptions that you've been operating under. Then, for each assumption, ask yourself these critical questions. How do I know this is true? Where did I learn this? What experiences seem to confirm this? What would be possible if this weren't true? This questioning process begins to loosen the neural pathways that maintain your current reality filters. As you complete this 7-day practice, you'll experience what neuroscientists call cognitive defamiliarization, a state where your habitual perceptions begin to lose their sense of solidity and inevitability. This is the first crack in the matrix, the initial recognition that your reality is constructed rather than given. The second phase involves deliberately disrupting your current perceptual patterns to create space for new reality frameworks. This phase utilizes a technique I call reality disruption protocols, specific practices designed to interrupt your habitual perception and create states of cognitive openness. There are 3 key protocols in this phase. Protocol 1, sensory pattern interruption. For 5 consecutive days, deliberately alter your sensory experience in ways that disrupt your normal perceptual patterns. Day 1, visual disruption. Wear colored glasses that tint your visual field. Notice how this simple change affects your emotional state and thought patterns. Day 2, auditory disruption. Wear earplugs or noise-canceling headphones for 2 hours while going about normal activities. Notice how altering your auditory input changes your experience of reality. Day 3, proprioceptive disruption. Spend 1 hour doing familiar activities with your non-dominant hand. Notice how this disrupts your sense of embodiment and spatial awareness. Day 4, linguistic disruption. Spend 2 hours avoiding the use of the verb to be in your speech and thinking, is, am, are, was, were. Notice how this changes your cognitive patterns. Day 5, temporal disruption. For 1 day, use a different time reference system. Instead of hours, divide your day into 10 equal segments. Notice how this alters your experience of time passing. Protocol 2, belief suspension. For this protocol, choose 3 core beliefs you identified in Phase 1, 1 each from the metaphysical, identity, and possibility categories. For each belief, practice a full day of as-if suspension, living as if the opposite of this belief were true. For example, if you believe reality is purely physical, spend a day living as if reality is fundamentally mental or consciousness-based. If you believe I am separate from others, spend a day living as if you and others are expressions of a unified consciousness. If you believe some things are just impossible, spend a day living as if anything is possible through consciousness. This practice creates what neuroscientists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to hold multiple reality frameworks simultaneously, which is essential for conscious reality creation. Protocol 3, natural reconnection. In our technology-saturated world, the matrix gains strength through artificial environments that disconnect us from our natural state. For this protocol, spend 3 days reconnecting with the natural world in progressively deeper ways. Day 1. Sensory immersion. Spend at least 1 hour in a natural setting, a forest, beach, mountain, or even a park, with all electronic devices turned off. Use all 5 senses to experience this environment. Feel the texture of bark, listen to bird calls, smell the earth after rain, watch the patterns of leaves moving in the wind. Day 2. Circadian realignment. For 1 full day, align your schedule with the natural rhythms of the sun. Wake at sunrise, be most active during daylight hours, and begin winding down at sunset. Avoid artificial light after dark, using only candles or very dim lighting. Notice how this affects your energy levels and mental clarity. Day 3. Elemental connection. Spend time directly connecting with each of the 4 elements. Walk barefoot on the earth, immerse yourself in water, ocean, lake, or even a bath with natural salts. Sit by a fire, even a candle if necessary, and breathe deeply in open air, preferably at a high point where you can feel the wind. This reconnection with nature helps reset your neurological patterns to a more natural baseline, creating space for conscious choice rather than programmed response. The third phase involves designing and installing your chosen reality framework. This isn't about adopting someone else's reality model. It's about consciously creating your own based on your highest understanding and deepest values. This phase utilizes a process I call conscious reality architecture, the deliberate design of your perceptual filters. Step 1. Framework design. Set aside a full day for this important process. In a quiet, undisturbed space, design your reality framework by making conscious choices in each of the 5 categories from Phase 1. Metaphysical framework. Choose your fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality. For example, reality is responsive to consciousness. Time is non-linear and malleable. Everything is interconnected in a unified field. Identity framework. Choose your fundamental assumptions about who and what you are. For example, I am an infinite consciousness having a temporary human experience. I am a creative force expressing through this form. I am both individual and universal simultaneously. Causality framework. Choose your fundamental assumptions about how things happen. For example, my consciousness attracts matching experiences. External events reflect internal states. Intention precedes manifestation. Possibility framework. Choose your fundamental assumptions about what is possible. For example, consciousness can influence physical reality. Transformation can happen in an instant. I can access multiple timelines and possibilities. Value framework. Choose your fundamental assumptions about what matters. For example, growth is more important than comfort. Authenticity is more valuable than approval. Creation is the primary purpose of existence. Document your choices in each category, creating a comprehensive blueprint of your chosen reality framework. As you design this framework, consider the universal laws that govern consciousness and creation. Laws like attraction, vibration, correspondence, and cause and effect. These aren't arbitrary rules but fundamental principles that describe how consciousness interacts with experience. Step 2. Neural installation. Once you've designed your reality framework, you need to install it at the neural level through a specific practice I call framework embodiment. This is a 40-day process based on the neuroscientific understanding that it takes approximately 40 days of consistent practice to establish new neural pathways. Each day, spend 20 minutes in a meditative state, systematically installing your new reality framework through this sequence. Minutes 1 to 5. Metaphysical framework installation. Visualize and feel your chosen metaphysical assumptions as absolutely true. Experience reality through these assumptions with all your senses. Minutes 6 to 10. Identity framework installation. Embody your chosen identity assumptions completely. Feel what it's like to be this version of yourself, experiencing reality from this identity. Minutes 11 to 15. Causality Framework Installation. Visualize and feel your chosen causality assumptions operating in your life. See events unfolding according to these principles of cause and effect. Minutes 16 to 20. Possibility and Value Framework Installation. Experience the expanded field of possibilities that your new framework creates and feel the deep alignment with your chosen values. This daily practice literally rewires your neural pathways, installing your conscious choices as your new default perceptual filters. Step 3. Reality Testing. As you install your new framework, you need to validate and refine it through conscious interaction with your experienced reality. Each day, alongside your framework embodiment practice, engage in reality testing, deliberate experiments to demonstrate your new framework in action. These experiments should start small and gradually increase in scope as your new neural pathways strengthen. For example, days 1 to 10. Test your framework through internal experiences, emotions, thoughts, insights. Days 11 to 20. Test your framework through interpersonal experiences, relationships, communications, synchronicities. Days 21 to 30. Test your framework through material experiences, physical sensations, objects, environments. Days 31 to 40. Test your framework through life circumstances, events, opportunities, challenges. Document the results of your reality testing, noting how your experiences either validate or suggest refinements to your chosen framework. This testing process creates a feedback loop that strengthens neural pathways associated with your new reality framework while allowing for evolutionary adjustments. The final phase involves transcending the very concept of a fixed reality framework and entering what I call fluid reality creation, the ability to consciously shift and modify your reality framework in real time. This phase represents true liberation from the matrix, not by replacing one fixed framework with another, but by developing the capacity for ongoing conscious reality creation. This phase involves 3 advanced practices. Practice 1. Framework Fluidity. After completing the 40-day installation process in Phase 3, begin practicing Framework Fluidity, the ability to consciously shift aspects of your reality framework in response to your evolving understanding and purpose. Once weekly, review your reality framework and make conscious adjustments based on your experiences and insights. This isn't about abandoning your framework, but about refining it through conscious evolution rather than unconscious conditioning. Practice 2. Reality Harmonization. As you develop framework fluidity, begin practicing reality harmonization, the conscious alignment of your personal reality framework with the collective frameworks you encounter. This doesn't mean conforming to collective reality. It means developing the ability to navigate multiple reality frameworks simultaneously, maintaining your sovereign creation while harmoniously interacting with others' creations. This practice develops what psychologists call cognitive empathy, the ability to understand and navigate others' reality models without being limited by them. Practice 3. Conscious Probability Navigation. The most advanced practice in matrix transcendence is what quantum physicists might call probability navigation, the conscious selection of experienced reality from the field of quantum probabilities. This practice involves recognizing multiple probability streams available in any moment, consciously selecting which probabilities to collapse into experience, maintaining awareness of unchosen probabilities as potential resources. This creates what mystics have called the witness state, a consciousness that both participates in reality creation and observes the process simultaneously. As you master these practices, you'll experience what I call matrix transcendence, the state of being both within the world of form and beyond it simultaneously. You'll no longer be confined to any single reality framework, including the one you've consciously created. Instead, you'll develop the capacity for ongoing, fluid reality creation in alignment with your highest purpose. Now, let me address some common questions about this protocol. Is this just positive thinking or the law of attraction? No. While positive thinking and the law of attraction focus on attracting specific outcomes within your existing reality framework, this protocol addresses the framework itself, the fundamental assumptions that determine what you perceive as real and possible. How long does it take to break free from the matrix? The initial recognition can happen immediately. The perceptual disruption phase typically takes 2 to 3 weeks. The reality architecture phase requires 40 days for neural installation. Matrix transcendence is an ongoing evolution rather than a destination. Will this disconnect me from consensus reality? No. The goal isn't to disconnect from shared reality, but to recognize it as one of many possible frameworks and to interact with it consciously rather than being unconsciously limited by it. Is this dangerous or destabilizing? Any profound paradigm shift involves some temporary disorientation. However, this protocol is designed to create new stability at each phase before proceeding to the next. The process is transformative but not destabilizing when followed sequentially. Can I still function in everyday life while doing this? Absolutely. In fact, most people find that this protocol enhances their effectiveness in daily life by expanding their perceptual and creative capacities. The practices are designed to integrate with normal activities rather than requiring withdrawal from them. As you implement this protocol for matrix liberation, you'll discover that reality is far more fluid, responsive, and malleable than you've been conditioned to believe. You'll experience what the ancient wisdom traditions called awakening, not as a concept or philosophy, but as a lived reality. Think of it like this. For your entire life, you've been wearing tinted glasses that filter everything you see. These glasses were placed on you without your knowledge or consent. This protocol doesn't just replace one set of tinted glasses with another. It teaches you to recognize the glasses, remove them when you choose, and eventually develop the ability to shift the tint consciously based on what you wish to experience and create. You'll recognize that you've never been trapped in the matrix. You've been the matrix, your consciousness creating your experience through perceptual filters that you can now consciously choose. This recognition is the ultimate liberation, not an escape from reality, but a profound immersion in its true nature as a creative expression of consciousness. The boundary between creator and creation dissolves, and you enter what mystics have called non-dual awareness, the recognition that you are both the artist and the canvas, the dreamer and the dream. In this awareness, you don't just create your reality. You recognize that you are reality, creating itself through the unique expression that you call me. This is the final secret of matrix liberation, that there is no matrix separate from the consciousness that perceives it. There is only the infinite creative potential of awareness, expressing itself through countless forms and experiences. You are that awareness. You are that potential. And in this recognition, you are already free. If you found this understanding of reality creation valuable, I invite you to watch my video, The Cosmic Mirror Technique. See your future before it happens, where I reveal how to access future probabilities that align with your chosen reality framework. Type Sovereign in the comments to declare your commitment to conscious reality creation. This simple act signals to both your conscious and subconscious mind your intention to break free from unconscious programming and claim your power as a reality architect. May the infinite potential within you express its fullness through your unique creation. Until we meet again in the realm of conscious creation.